Welcome to Unethical Podcast.
At just 12, these two girls nearly took another classmate's life. Last May, they boarded
Kevin, a fellow passenger on a Greyhound bus, basically walked the streets of Winnipeg unsupervised, and the decision is causing concern. Vincent is schizophrenic and was found not criminally responsible.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hey, welcome.
Hello. G'day.
G'day, mate.
So, Unethical Podcast is alive and well.
We've been hanging out in the background. Let's be honest. These guys need to know. It's not that we haven't been talking or something. It's not gone anywhere.
Last I saw, we were getting between 3,000 and 5,000 listens a month, which is pretty good for a show that never puts anything out.
Hey,
Well, we have like 100 episodes. You know what I mean? Like that helps.
got back
hard to-
catalogue. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we are at 182,000 listens.
Whoa.
So we're
There you go.
creeping up on 200K. That's nice.
Well, thank you to everybody who's listened.
Except for
Yeah.
you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Fuck you,
Leave Kevin alone.
And Cat Piss Steve. Special mention to the Dingo. Every bush of the week.
Yeah, I think every bush of the week's been pretty good. Nobody's like disappointed us. Remember we give someone a bush of the week and then they murder someone a month later? Like, fuck. I don't think that's happened yet.
Let's see what our
Oh,
most listened to episodes are while we're at it. Sorry, now I'm interested in our statistics. So for most listened to is obviously Gypsy Rose Part 1 because that's the first one on our catalog. Most often, Chris Chan Part 1 is our second most listened to.
There you go.
But outside of the Chris Chan and Gypsy Rose, our top one is McCamey Manor.
Nice.
I wonder if we're getting a boost because he's been arrested.
Mm-hmm.
He's out posting. I saw him he was like, don't he was going to watch a movie in the theater. Anyways. Yeah, he's we'll have to keep an eye out on that. Maybe we'll do another episode on that because he is interesting.
I imagine he's still got to go to court. Like, he probably made bail or something like that.
Oh,
Made his bond or
for sure. I had him talking to me, and he said he kept telling me to come to the fucking manor to go through the I'm like, dude, I live way too far away. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't do it. It's almost impossible. Just
What?
talk to me on the
Oh,
internet about your
man.
fucking shit.
I'd have done it. I'd have taken Dustin with me, but like,
No, sir. That is that you never go to the second location. Mm-mm.
You never go to
Especially
the
with
second
Russ
location
McCamey.
unless it's Iroquois Falls. Then you go to all three. Our most listened to country is the US. It's like the most popular place for podcasts. What do you guys think is second? I would say I thought it was Canada.
No, it's what isn't it a country in Africa?
No.
Oh,
it's
I
gonna
thought
be
it
in
was
Australia.
Canada.
it's gonna be like some obscure tiny place in Europe.
Well, it's a
Switzerland.
Country, yeah.
Okay. So I say Canada, you say Australia, you say Switzerland. What do you say, Dingus?
I'm gonna go with like the Netherlands.
France.
What?
You know what? I get a lot of listens from France too, from Private Dicks. I don't know if it's because you did the Bacalan or whatever, the terrorist attack thing, but I feel like a lot of people listen to that episode.
We have said horrible things about the French from both the French native land and
No,
also the
no.
French
I
Canadian.
said horrible things about French Canadians.
Yeah, those are different.
Okay,
Maybe
I
that's
thought-
why the French like
no.
it. They're like, yeah, we hate the French Canadians too.
Oh shit! Sorry. I mean, I may have meant the Italians and
Oh,
And Ohioans.
Ohioans.
veterans.
Yeah.
Ohioans suck.
So
Yeah, fuck Ohioans.
fuck Ohio.
Fuck Ohio.
sure, fuck Ohio.
Blowing my mind, those statistics. All right. Thanks, France. I mean, merci.
Merci les
Who's third?
Français.
Canada.
Yeah. Who's fourth?
Australia.
Yeah, sick. Bringing up the rear.
It's about what I figured because of our host. But France, I was not expecting, and it's significantly higher than Canada.
Yeah, I was not expecting France to be number 2.
Look at that. Isn't that fun?
I like the accents. I listen to it in the background because there's accents and they make me laugh.
It is an honor to be here today.
Yeah, I was doing more French Canadian. You did more of like a France one.
I like how immediately we're like, oh, we have a lot of French listeners, and we're like, alienate them immediately.
No, fuck. Well, they're cowards anyway. They're just gonna run away.
Fuck you, you fucking fuck you. I knew a French guy, and that pretty much all he knew in English was the F word.
Fuck you,
And
you
he-
fucking
that he
fuck
would-
out.
He would say that when he was mad. Fuck you fucking fuck you.
I love that.
Yeah,
Sick.
good guy. Huge bush.
Right.
So, oh yeah, I guess we didn't actually do an update. So, for anybody who has listened to McCamey Manor, which apparently is a lot of people, he was recently arrested for attempted murder of his girlfriend, I think.
Yes. Yep.
But I feel like that without as much, like I didn't go through the whole thing, but like, is that what she said after she went through his little creepy dungeon thing? Like, is she finally the one who just said he tried to kill me after throwing snakes on me, or
She's
is
not
it
the
like,
first.
but like she's got internal knowledge of him? You know what I mean? Like maybe she went to the
He's
cops.
got
and they're
internal knowledge of her, if you know what I mean.
Like, hey, oh, I know what you mean.
Ah.
Dicks
The
and
only thing I
pussies.
could think of is she didn't sign the contract. You know, she wasn't playing the game. She was just dating him.
I don't think the contract means
Mm.
anything when you're murdering someone. I don't think there's a
No.
contract out there that can hold up in court. But
No, definitely not. Even though that one said death like what,
An
6
outrage.
times? Like
Yeah.
it was an outrageous amount of times that his little
Yeah,
contract said you could die.
I'm interested to see where that goes because I spent a lot of time thinking about Russ McCamey in my time. So I'm interested to see where he goes.
Hopefully we find out more. For now, though, that's all we know. So I guess we can just jump in.
Yes.
I don't know why
Mm.
exactly, but I'm on a bit of a historical kick at the moment. The older cases are what seem to be grabbing my attention more than the newer ones. Not that I ever really was big on new cases, but just like boring. Oh, and girlfriend got murdered by her boyfriend. I don't know. They just don't do it for me.
I feel like if when it's historical too, you have more of like everything, all the details are there. So you don't have to like draw a whole like a new case. You could go for a year, a month, 2 years, just following the same case and new updates all the time. And it's just like an older case, everything's there, so you can get the whole shebang. So I like that about that.
That's true, as we're demonstrating right now, where we're doing yet another update on yet another something that we've covered.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had more updates on Chris Chan. Unfortunately, I don't. Last I heard, she was out and she was streaming on Twitch or something like that. But I'm waiting for the shenanigans to.
The chance to come back.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a relapse. So this also might be one of those ones that people are like, oh, I've heard this story a billion times, because it is a popular one, but I actually didn't know the story. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I should learn about it. But maybe you guys have heard about Leopold and Loeb.
I don't know why you grinned.
Not at
I
all.
was like, it's Leopold and Loeb. I don't know how I knew that. Yes, I have heard of Leopold and Loeb.
Not
Perfect.
a single thing.
Doesn't
Excellent.
ring a bell.
Perfect. Leopold and Loeb, the perfect crime.
We'll be
Sure.
the judge of that.
If anybody's ever seen the play, I think it's called Rope. It's based on Leopold and Loeb. I guess we won't get into what he did or what they did, I should say. We'll just get to know him a little bit to start with. Shall we?
Sounds good to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
please do.
too.
I'm actually
Give
excited
us
for
a-
these two to hear about this because this is a good one.
It was less exciting than I thought it was going to be when it came right down to it. It turns out it's just a couple bumbling fucking morons. Spoilers alert.
That's what I'm here
All
for.
criminals are that.
Yeah.
Like they're all idiots. Like most of the time. There's not very many that are like, ooh, that was really smart. It's usually a dumbass thing.
But
that
the
they
cocky
did.
ones are fun, at least, watching them get their
That's true.
comeuppance. Like Ari Squire.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, I guess this is very Ari Squire brand now that I think about it. Anyway, so we'll get to know Mr. Leopold. Nathan Freudenthal Leopold Jr. was born on November 19th, 1904.
That's
into
my
one of-
birthday. Oh, not
That's my middle
1904.
Well, 1904 is
That
Christie's
middle name
birth
is-
year.
Christie's
then-
birth year in 1904, but my
Your
birthday
birth date.
19th. Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
and then Freudenthal's my middle name. So we're covered all this stuff.
Richard Leslie Michael Freudenthal Studel.
Yes.
Anyway, yes, sorry, I was all excited. A fellow Scorpio.
Well, I'm glad Richard was into the middle name because I only included his full name just because that is a fucking awesome middle name, and I'm not
Yeah.
sorry. That is
That's
terrific.
a name. That is a
Freudenthal.
That's a
name.
strong name.
Fucking
Yep.
incredible.
Powerful. I should know.
Unsurprisingly, based on everything we're saying about his middle name, he was born into one of the wealthiest households in the most affluent district of Chicago, the Kenwood
Get it,
district.
Nathan?
He was considered brilliant as a child. In fact, his IQ measured at 210, and he spoke several languages. Some people say over a dozen languages. I don't know about that. I don't know how you would really prove
Whoa.
that, but they
He's
say
a
he spoke over
polyglot.
a dozen languages.
Isn't like
Um,
210 like off the charts for IQ? Isn't that like outrageously high? Like I don't
Yeah.
even think is there somebody.
No, so
Oh,
Einstein
okay.
was 164, wasn't he?
I don't know.
Anyway, sorry, I just never heard of 210. That's really high. That's like stupid.
IQ testing has come a long way since the early 1900s.
Yeah.
That could be it too.
So, but
That's
his
a strong
IQ
102 for
measured.
him in today's standards.
he was undoubtedly a brilliant mind, but
Yeah.
when it came to actually like having common sense and social skills and shit, he was dumb as they come.
Well, that's
So
usually what
far
happens.
autism.
You know, yes.
Very
That was
autistic coded for sure. So,
He was off both spectrums. Sorry, keep going.
I don't
I
get
don't
that
know
one,
what
but
the
we're cool.
second spectrum is.
Yeah. The sexuality, was he trans or something?
No,
Like
no.
what?
He is
IQ.
gay.
Oh, no, that's not what I meant. I just meant off of IQ and autism, but
Oh, the
I feel
IQ
like I might have
spectrum.
manifested that. Yeah.
I see. So 3 spectrums.
Hmm.
Okay.
I don't know how
Triple threat.
the Libergibatois community would feel about being decided as a spectrum.
Well,
Sorry,
isn't
anyway.
sexuality is totally a spectrum? Isn't that what a
That's-
Kinsey scale is?
That's what they're doing
Oh.
now, yeah.
Yep, cool.
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't that what they're
She's
like,
like,
running
I'm
with?
not
Is
standing
that
up for
gender is
this.
a spectrum?
No,
or-
I meant I was meaning in the same way that autism is. Like,
Oh,
but anyway.
I don't understand the
Fine.
difference. Isn't it the
It's
same?
fine. It's
Just,
fine.
just
It's
move
just
on. I'm the only lesbian on the show. I don't want to stand for this. Please move to the next thing.
I'm sorry. I think we're being insensitive. My bad.
no, you're not at all.
Oh my god, that was funny.
Anyway, so he's, as I mentioned, like extremely socially stunted, but he's even more socially stunted than he would have normally been just from being what I think is autistic, because he attended a school which had primarily female students during his early school years, and
Ah.
young boys, they need development with other young boys is important. His mother was frequently
Especially when you're
bedridden.
gay. You know what I'm saying? Development with
Bo knows what you're
boys.
saying. She's the only lesbian.
Oh fuck. What a dickhead. And also how much, like, because of the difference in the ways that girls and boys develop, he would be like a step behind all of his peers. Like, that would have sucked, especially if you're like that smart, no social skills, right? Like, even the stuff he was smart about, like, he's a
Brilliant
step
but
be-
immature compared to all your peers. Yeah.
Well, you
yeah.
said primarily girls. I mean, there had to have been a couple of other boys.
It
like-
was like staggering, the ratio of girls to boys in that school. Like, it was a sea
Why?
of girls that you'd see a boy in occasionally. No idea.
Hmm.
Maybe it was a gifted school and boys are fucking dumb.
Mm.
That's probably true. Usually in
Tracks.
1904, they fostered the really smart girls. They
Mhm.
didn't put them in a kitchen or anything.
I don't know why. Yeah, so Leopold's mother was frequently bedridden due to severe kidney disease that she developed during her pregnancy with him. And his father was a workaholic who was almost entirely absent. His father, I didn't write this down, but if I remember correctly, he made his money in shipping. He had a shipping company.
Smuggling.
So the raising of Leopold and his older brother was left to a governess employed by his father. For some reason, her name is different everywhere that I read, so I don't know what her name is. I think it's either Anna or Matilda, but it doesn't really matter. She began molesting the boys shortly after her arrival in the household.
It's Matilda then for sure.
Has to be.
Definitely. It has to be.
I don't know if I'm
Fucking
willing to
Matilda.
take such a hard stance against Matilda's. I don't want to limit myself in the future, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I could. And Anna could sneak up on me and molest me tomorrow, and I wouldn't even know it's coming because I fucking.
Ooh,
I feel
only
ya.
looking out for the Matildas.
Yeah, here I was worrying about Matilda's. It was the Annas I
Yeah.
should have been worrying about.
That's
God
the
damn it.
Annas. Yeah, I put my Matilda traps out, but I should have put my fucking Anne traps out.
Yep. My anti-Anna devices.
All the Matildas just checked out of this episode. They said, fuck you guys.
Is Matilda a French name? We might be in trouble.
Ah!
So Leopold's abuse began at age 6 and would continue until he was 12 years old, at which time the governess was dismissed by Mrs. Leopold after she'd witnessed her disciplining her boys in a manner she felt was too strict. Not the
That
whole
is one way to
molesting
describe
them.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
But oh well, whatever. It gets the job done. Once Leopold reached adolescence, he turned into a bit of a bully. And by that, I mean he became an absolutely psycho little shit.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned, he has very few male friends, but he managed to trick one of his very few male friends into taking his pants off in front of him. And then once the boy was letting it fly, Leopold splashed him with liniment right on his wiener, causing extremely painful burns.
What's liniment?
It's kind of medicine. I don't actually know what it does. This would be a question for Christy.
I don't know. I don't know how outraged I should be because I don't
A
know
liquid or lotion made with oil for rubbing on the body to relieve pain. Oh, so it probably, what's that shit that's
Like
lidocaine
icy hot.
or whatever? Yeah, and it burns like
Lidocaine.
fuck if you get it on your sensitive bits.
Vicks Vapor Rub.
That
Done
probably.
that once.
Ooh, no. Sounds
Does
unfortunate.
not sound pleasant.
Yeah.
Should have started with Head and Shoulders like the good Lord intended. Okay, sources refer to Leopold as an ornithologist and a twitcher, or a bird watching enthusiast, which I personally think is bullshit. He may have been interested in watching them for a brief fleeting moment until his father noticed and immediately decided to get him a gun to shoot them with.
Oh.
My guess would be he thought that the watching of the birds was just a little bit too gay. You don't like that very
Probably.
much?
It
You
is
can
at
watch
one
them
of
as
the,
long as you shoot them after.
Yeah, well, it was
Yeah.
the 1910s and Leopold was super gay. So what he really
Yep.
became after is a bird killing enthusiast, and then a bird
Yes, he
dissecting
did.
enthusiast, and then a
Oh,
bird taxidermy
no.
enthusiast.
Oh no.
That's kind of cool. Like as much as we're making fun of this guy, to go and like have a bunch of stuff, like I'm not into it, don't get me wrong. But like if you had 100 different types of birds that you've shot and stuffed yourself and it was like part of your, like, that's kind of cool. I don't know.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not
What do you think is the limit?
the limit.
Yeah, like
All
what
of
do you
them.
think
It's
is
like
the limit
Pokemon. Once you catch
of
them
when
all,
it's
you're
not
done.
cool anymore?
Oh, for real? You want to know the real answer?
I
Oh,
like his
like
Pokemon answer.
I don't know. When like let's say you have a 800 square foot apartment and your entire apartment's filled with like penguins and fucking hawks and like you're like that's when it becomes just creepy and weird. But
There's
know
no
if you-
penguins or anything that he can't personally shoot and kill.
Oh, in the South, there is no limit. You have deer on the wall. You have boar.
No, birds
You
specifically.
have like a bird.
Like there are no exotic birds. It's all birds that he personally shot and killed and
like
taxidermied
ducks.
himself.
once you
and-
okay,
What
if
is
you have
the limit
once
where
you
it's
have
no
one of
longer
each,
cool?
once you have one of each in your area, and then you start going like multiple ones, that it becomes weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a collector.
In his career, and keep in mind his career only lasted until he was 19 and arrested, he amassed a collection of over 3,000 birds, personally killed, flayed, and preserved by him.
This one's Tweety. I killed it
Oh.
with a 22. This one's Tweety number 2, and I killed it with Tweety. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I
you
killed it
creepy
with
little
Tweety.
fuck?
I'd beat that bird to death with another bird.
There's probably a redneck in Tennessee that's got 3,000 ducks that has been taxidermied.
At
It's-
age 19, you think?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
at
a little weird.
19?
That's- it's
Oh,
far.
that's
It's-
yeah. Yeah, no.
No,
I think-
3,000 is too many. That's far too many birds.
Yeah, no, I think
is a
that
lot of
I think that
birds.
he was definitely a little bit fucked up. The obsession
Yeah.
was unlikely to be linked only to birds. One of the employees from the Leopold home anonymously told reporters that he had a quote mania for killing defenseless animals.
Oh no.
Not okay.
So
Yeah, now we've gone into a different like realm.
Yeah.
This is Rover. This was my neighbor's dog. Like, Jesus Christ.
he only
Ooh.
kept the birds. That's the only thing we have proof of he killed a shit ton of, but it's unlikely it was just birds. Meanwhile, across town, actually, it wasn't across town because they were both rich little assholes. It was also in the affluent Kenwood neighborhood. A little
Rich.
chap named Richard Albert Loeb was getting all kinds of fucked up by his own nanny. That's
Ricky.
Ricky Loeb.
Ricky Loeb. Sounds like a good guy so far.
Heavy emphasis on the up. This one wasn't getting fucked by the nanny, just, emotionally abused. So he was born June 11th, 1905, and he's raised primarily by his nanny, who immediately inserted herself as a barricade between Loeb and his mother in order to hijack the mother's role in his life. And
A question,
I don't know.
sorry.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because of the mother wanting that? Because some people like that just don't want kids, and they just get a nanny to like. I don't know. I'm just curious because some, especially rich people, that are like that.
I don't know why the relationship between Loeb and his mother was already strained, or what the nanny's goal was really. But this nanny was creepy invested and obsessed with this kid. That's was creepy. So far beyond the Call of Duty. Again, with the name thing, I couldn't figure out what her name is. It's conflicting everywhere. But
she didn't molest him, you said, right? It's probably Anna.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So Anna becomes obsessed with seeing him outshine all of his peers in every imaginable way.
Grease and moves on. I love it.
Yeah, facts. Of course it's Anna.
Yeah.
Why would you question anybody else in this situation? She's a cunt. Anyway, keep going.
So Matilda's the molester and Anna's the asshole.
Her cunts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Anna would fiercely punish him for any perceived slacking. Okay?
Classic Anna behavior. Fucking hell.
Keep in mind also these are obviously very crazy rich people. In fact, Loeb's father was the richest man in Kenwood. At the time, he amassed about $4 million, which in
1904 money.
Yeah, is a
4
lot.
million.
Yeah,
Good Lord.
That's like over
4
405 million.
He was the second in command of Sears Roebuck.
Oh
So-
yeah, that make you some money.
Yeah,
I don't know what
Sears
that
is a fucking powerhouse.
Is that
Um,
like the chain of stores?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have
Oh, yeah,
Sears
okay.
in Australia?
No. Oh wait, do we have Sears? Do we have Sears? No, we don't.
She's like oracles that tell my future.
Oh, it's like Maya. Oh, okay.
When it comes to his parents, there was not nearly as much neglect with his two older brothers that there was with Loeb. And why that is, I can't say for sure. Based on what I read and stuff, I almost wonder if maybe he was like an illegitimate child or something. Because there was a very weird, or honestly, they may have just been able to tell he was defective.
His name's Richard, so they knew he was defective right away.
Yeah, Dick Loeb.
Dick Loeb, they're like, that's not a let's let that one die on the vine. We'll help the other two out. Can't protect them all.
So were the others not being abused by the nanny? Is that the...
No, like the parents seemed much more involved in their life, and the nanny was literally just taking care of them. The nanny was obsessed with Richard. So
like there was other kids involved and their parents were looking after those kids, but then just left the little special one with a nanny.
yeah, they're basically like, this one's yours now.
Oh man.
I don't know
Poor
what the
little
deal
dick.
is. Loeb wasn't nearly the academic powerhouse that Leopold was. He much preferred athletics and using his imagination. He would find respite in the pages of detective novels stashed amongst his philosophy textbooks. And philosophy was the nanny's preferred subject matter. That's what she wanted him to excel in. I don't know why, but he liked to read his little comic or detective comics or detective novels instead. And I think in a way
He's into true crime.
Well, it's fictional crime. But yes, sort of. He's not into the right side of it though.
So he was into, what is it, Clive Cussler novels or whatever those ones.
Actually, I'll tell you exactly what his favorites were. I think in a way that he would overcompensate by his complete lack of freedom and creativity by embracing this rich fantasy life where he would seek this role for himself within these detective novels. And Loeb's favorite character was Jimmy Dale, who was the anti-hero of the series of novels of the same name written by Canadian author Frank L. Packard. So by day, Jimmy is a wealthy playboy. By night, he is the Grey Seal, a masked knight and expert lockpick committing petty crimes and stopping evildoers.
So it's Batman from
That
Wish.
Man, Although
But if you
that
if you order
The
it
Jimmy
in
Grace-
Dale
English,
came first.
The gray seal, though, come on. No wonder that didn't last.
Not
That's
like
fucking trash.
seal, like seal of approval seal.
oh,
I took it with the RRR one, so
Definitely the flappers.
Got
Yeah.
that one.
but just he dresses up like a seal, like Batman dresses up like a Batman, just with two flappers, like trying to stop crime. Can't really pick the locks because he's got fucking flappers.
Roll
Like,
it
oh,
on your
I'm gonna
tummy.
get
could you imagine? Like, could you imagine if you got to Christmas and like you were really fucking fanging for a Batman toy and you opened up a Christmas present, your mum had got you the grey seal, like thank you, Mum. It's like the equivalent of like, can I go spend money at the arcade? No, we've got Nintendo at home and you've only got a Game Boy original. It's
Don't
outrageous.
disrespect the Game Boy original.
Yeah, I
like
was gonna
that.
say that's a terrible example because the Game Boy's amazing.
Yeah, have you ever
Yeah.
even played Pokemon Silver?
Yeah.
It's the OG.
It's like the
It's
best
the-
fucking Pokemon.
Thank you. It is. Thank you.
You're welcome.
God. Heart gold. Bullshit.
Let's hope the French like Pokemon.
Oh,
I feel
oui.
like the world loves
Pokemon.
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 Mo.
Go, Pikachu. Go. Sorry.
Well, they hate us again now.
The French.
No, we're fine. I think they're finally like at last. Somebody's
Yeah.
acknowledging us. Somebody's pandering their content
we're finally getting representation.
Yeah. at last.
Yeah.
Okay, so inspired by the shenanigans of Mr. Dale, Loeb decides that he wants to try his hand at a little bit of beginner misdemeanors. Because like I mentioned, Jimmy Dale is the anti-hero. He is also committing petty crimes while stopping bigger crimes. He's very complex.
Mm.
So Loeb starts with little trinkets and accessories that he's stealing from his siblings, and eventually he escalates into low-stakes vandalism and some light shoplifting. One of his favorite pastimes was shadowing people, which was just following them around, trying to remain undetected.
Creepy.
Okay.
Like a seal.
Cool.
Oh,
What a-
what's that?
What a cool guy.
I don't know. That's some Sherlock Holmes bullshit.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go down to the mall and I'm gonna follow people. People are like, why
He's
is
like
this fucking
a
kid
peeping
hiding behind a
Tom,
trash can?
But without the peeping. The creeping Tom.
Well,
Yeah.
I like how they call it shadowing instead of stalking. But anyways,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
definitely stalking.
But he's not invested in his targets like a stalker is.
I
could be
gotcha.
Does that
anybody.
matter?
Yes, it totally matters. Come on. Stalkers
I feel
have
like I feel like
Yeah,
you
the
could stalk
I
either
think
way.
creeping Toms, that's a victimless crime. Okay, so despite the late nights under the iron fist of his nanny, Loeb graduates high school at the age of 14. So you can probably imagine he didn't have much time for socializing, given his accelerated education and extracurricular
Whoa.
miscreants.
Get it.
But what he was really lacking wasn't time. It was fucks to give. He could not care less about being liked or liking anyone else. Most people who met him found him extremely off-putting.
It sounds like one of those spectrum
Yeah.
things again, not the other one.
Asperger's.
However, he was very skilled at being superficially charming to get what he wanted. So he has this very sociopathic trait as well.
I was about to say sociopath.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't give a shit until he gave a shit and he wanted something from someone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And given, I mean, this man is successful, smart enough, rich. There's very little that he actually wants. So he is just an off-putting bag of dicks most of the time.
God.
My man. What a
Oh,
dickhead.
man. Okay, so our two creepy shit stains would finally come to meet in college, where they bonded over being a couple of 15-year-old dorks with dead eyes and no soul. That's not actually even true, really. Yes, they were both younger than everybody else, but Loeb was actually quite popular with the ladies, and he made a passing impression of a half-decent drinking buddy, while Leopold was painfully awkward. And Leopold also had the absolute worst case of the Dunning-Kruger effect the Chicago University has ever seen.
Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Isn't that one where you think you're super right, then you look at information, you
It is the
dive down.
exact opposite of imposter
Of
syndrome.
imposter syndrome. Yeah, it's where you actually
Okay.
think you're far better than you actually
Yeah,
are.
you completely
Yeah.
overestimate your own abilities.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So despite being considered quite handsome, Loeb lost his virginity, drunk off his ass, to a cheap whore his friends bought for him, and made his way home with gonorrhea at the end of the night.
My
That'll get
friends
ya.
never did anything like that for me.
Yeah,
What
the
I
an
fuck
know
are
they
my
experience.
friends?
they just arranged for people from all over the world to come to your little tiny town and love you.
Yeah, where was the gonorrhea riddled prostitute? That's so hard to say.
Yeah, what Bo said.
There wasn't a single stripper or sex worker at
You know
that
what?
party.
You don't know for a fact that none of us are gonorrhea riddled prostitutes.
That's true.
Yeah, I never got to fuck any of you guys.
What do you expect? Les was there.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's true.
If Les hadn't been there, you would have gotten your shot, man.
Yeah.
Gotten my fucking penicillin shot.
Oh, wait, no,
Um,
yeah. Okay.
Gonorrhea.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm
The
back. I'm back.
gonorrhea.
Yeah.
She
I was like,
so
how dare you?
insulted.
Oh, no, there you were. Yeah.
It's
gonorrhea.
not here. I got a hint. Bo wasn't the prostitute. She doesn't have gonorrhea.
No. Okay, so during spring break of 1921, Loeb invites Leopold to his Summers family estate. Wow, I was tired when I wrote that, I assume. Loeb invited Leopold to his family's summer estate in Michigan, which seems like a weird place to summer. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
summer in Michigan.
Is that popular in America?
Michigan
Yeah,
sucks, from what I
you'll-
understand.
You go north during the summer and then you go south during the winter. So it's not
Right.
abnormal that you're in a place like Michigan or New York for the summer and then you go down to like Florida or something like that for the
But
winter.
Michigan?
Yeah,
What
but
about
I
like
feel like
Colorado? I go summer in Colorado.
Or like
Mm.
Montana. Yeah, like Montana's way
but like
prettier.
it's Michigan's kind of like it'd be beautiful with lots of little lakes, and if you like fishing and going out and shooting birds and shit like that, it'd probably be better
like
than.
birds.
Shooting birds.
Well, I'm just saying, like Colorado is like mountainous. It's not the same. Like, yeah, it's just different
Better.
people. I could see how someone would want to go to Michigan, especially if you live in the South. It's like the
Michigan
different.
does have a lot of like outdoorsy spots, you know.
Is Illinois in the South?
Illinois is like right next to Michigan essentially.
Well, then they're not traveling from north to south because they live in Illinois.
Oh.
Oh, so they're just going over.
Yeah,
They're just going
they're
west a
summering
little
in
bit.
Michigan. Fucking whatever.
That's weird.
Okay.
That is
That's
different. I
weird.
thought they were down south. I thought this was happening. Anyways, I thought it was like in the South.
No, you're right, because Chicago is like it's in Illinois, but it's essentially on Lake Michigan. It's like on that spot.
So they only just crossed a lake.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
they
just
took
easy
a
to get
train
there, maybe.
there.
Well, there's not like a lake separating Illinois from Michigan. You could drive. You'd just go around the
Oh,
lake.
they take
Yeah.
a train from Chicago to wherever their estate is in Michigan. So
so
during
weird.
the train ride, the boys take advantage of the solitude of their cabin and they decide to share with each other their
Fuck.
deepest, darkest secrets.
This
Bo,
bird,
can you
I
not
used
get
to.
ahead of me, please?
Okay.
Sorry.
At this point, their secrets weren't really that deep or dark, but Loeb tells Leopold about his misdemeanors, and Leopold tells Loeb about his felonies. And by felonies, I mean he wants to fuck dudes and only dudes, which is 100%
Right.
fucking illegal in
Right. Yep.
19. Where are we right now? Like 1920.
That'll do it.
So yeah, fucking dudes is the bigger crime than anything that
Mhm.
Leopold did. So Loeb was like, hell fucking no. My nanny says I have to be the best at everything or she hits me with Homer's Odyssey. And you're better at fucking dudes than me, so I have to fuck dudes also.
What?
Huh?
That's usually how it happens, just two guys. One guy has a thought, they got to be better than the other one. They just fucking compete till one person comes out on top or on bottom, whatever one you prefer.
Well, Loeb came out on top.
Probably
So-
came all over.
He said, I get beat with Homer Odyssey.
Homer's
That's the
Odyssey.
part she focused on. I feel like Celeste picked a book. I don't know if
Because his nanny made him read philosophy books, and Homer was a philosopher, and Homer's Odyssey is a really fat book.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. So he
You
went,
know-
you know what?
How many years of undergrad suffering went into that joke? That joke is $75,000 in student debt.
yeah.
That was the single most expensive and traumatizing joke I've ever made.
I'm here for it. I
Why
just
would she hit him with Homer's Odyssey? And I feel like there's better books she could probably hit someone with there.
Sorry. Yeah, look, I wasn't. I mean, I'm the same as you, Richard. Like you said, it's so normal. Like, so normal when someone else, you're just like, well, actually, that's how I got into fucking women. Like, that's how it happens. So that was normal to me. The bit that I was uncomfortable with was the Homer's Odyssey use. Needs to be like a Bible or a telephone book.
My delivery is off because I wrote this several weeks ago, so all of the punchlines that I put into the script I no longer see coming. So
Oh. You know who did see someone coming?
Leopold.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so obviously I'm just speculating about why all of a sudden he wants to fuck dudes, but Loeb 100% invites Leopold to bang it out in his sleeping cabin that evening. So everything in Loeb's autobiography indicates to me that Loeb is aroace, which for anybody who doesn't know is aromantic asexual. Which isn't to say that aroace people can't or don't have sex. It's just likely that he had ulterior motives for having sex with Leopold. Leopold, on the other hand, could not be happier, and he would have followed Loeb to the ends of the earth for some more of that good dick. And this worked out very well for Loeb, who found crimes to be much easier with an accomplice or a getaway driver or a lookout.
Well, I suppose sodomy is a harder crime to achieve by yourself. Oh, you mean the other ones?
Also
okay,
the
sorry.
misdemeanors, yeah, that he enjoys. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
he's like, sweet. All I have to do is fuck this dude, and then he'll come on these crimes with me so that I can get away with more shit. So I'm getting my high, he's getting his high. We're having a good time.
And we're
In
gonna
both
be the
cases,
gray
you're committing
seal.
crimes.
the whole
More like
thing
the
is
gay
still
seal, am I right?
My joke was, I'm gonna be the gray seal, and you come and you be the little otter, and then we can do crimes together. But yours is way better. Your joke was better.
For those who don't know, an otter in the queer community is often a smaller sized bear with a little bit of less fur, and a little bit younger. So they tend to be in the mid-30s, a little bit less hair, and they're a little bit less built. It's an otter.
You're like a gay David Attenborough. I like it.
More like David Attenborough.
Yeah.
I need a nature documentary voiced by Bo now that's just telling us all of the like
Here we
gay
see
things.
lesbians in their natural habitat.
There's an otter in my water.
Here at the Bunnings. Oh, what do you guys call Bunnings?
I don't know what a Bunnings is.
Yeah.
This
The
is why
hardware
David
store.
Attenborough exists. You got to explain what Bunnings is, and you did it. So now it's time to do it, David.
At the local hardware store, you can see lesbians.
Oh, local hardware store. Home Depot, Home Hardware, Canadian
Yep.
Tire,
That's right, where you get your knives.
Ace.
Yep.
Canadian Tire.
Ace. We have Harbor
It's-
Freight too.
It's Bunnings over here.
You know what else you can find at hardware stores? People looking for construction workers to kill.
Oh, uh-oh. Okay. Oh no, yeah. Sorry. the
Because
other
they look
guy.
a
I
little
thought you
bit
meant
like
this
me.
guy. Yeah. Except we're just gonna have to remove those tattoos.
Callbacks. They're the best. Okay. So eventually Loeb begins to tire of Leopold. Now,
Oh.
I don't know if it's just me or if it's you guys, but their names are too similar and I can never remember which one is which in the power dynamic. So if it's you too, I'm really sorry. Loeb is the one that is like athletic, passable as a not decent human being, but like a socially competent human being. Leopold is awkward, brilliant, and the worst ever. I don't remember
I
that.
appreciate the reminder. Yes.
Okay. like I said, Loeb isn't getting any satisfaction from the sex. Leopold isn't getting any satisfaction from little crimes. So Leopold began to notice that Loeb is now branching out socially, and he knew full well that it would be easier for Loeb to find a new partner in crime than it would be for him to find a new fuck buddy, because of the obviously criminal constraints of the time and the fact that he sucks and nobody likes him. So Leopold also has these rich fantasies of control and domination. So it ruins the fantasy for him to be dismissed. So this power dynamic in the actual sex itself, Leopold is the dominant one. And that's because Loeb lets him play out that fantasy, obviously, to serve his own ends. But for him to be dismissed totally ruins fantasy for Leopold. So he tells Leopold he's only going to go on crime sprees with him in exchange for sex. No more freebies. Like, no crimes if I don't get sex.
You do this hole, and I'll do the job. Yep.
But if he refuses, he's going to report him to the authorities. So Leopold has no choice but to agree. Or, pardon me, Loeb has no choice but to agree. So this allows Leopold to explore his sexual fantasies even deeper, where he discovers that his biggest turn on is to imagine himself as a king that is raping a slave.
That's all our fantasy.
Yeah.
Wait,
and I don't
what?
think this is like a consensual non-consent thing. I'm pretty sure this is a completely non-consensual thing for him, the fantasy. Loeb, ever the pragmatist, plays along for basically as long as it suits him. And it never really seemed to bother him or even concern him who was dominant or in charge or really anything. As long as he got to do some B&E after some BDSM, he's happy as a clam. But Leopold grows far more demanding. And why are you shaking your head at me?
Oh no, it's so weird. Like, it's such a being so obsessed with like this thing of B&E. Like, he's like, as long as I get to thieve, I don't care what the fuck happens to my hole. It's just bizarre.
See, that's why I think he's Arrow Ace. He is so completely, like, he has no
It's so
investment in
weird.
sex, no value in sex. He doesn't care at all about sexual dynamics, about having sex, about the relationship. He doesn't care about any of it. It's completely whatever. It's just a tool that I have at my expense that I can use to get what I want.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's great. Normally there's like a level of like obsession, you know what I mean? But like, it's just, yeah, it's crazy. The obsessions with B&E.
Yeah.
He doesn't realize what he's selling either. Like, you could pick much harder crimes at that point. Like, you don't have to just like steal
Yeah.
things. You could have this dude like committing bigger felonies with you and like
Yeah.
doing more crime than just, I'm gonna break into
Yeah,
this
you
old
could-
lady's house and sniff her underwear. Like,
They
And, like,
escalate. They do escalate a bit,
Okay.
but they don't get into like they never assault anybody that we know of. I'll get into that more.
No, I wasn't shaking my head at you at all. I was shaking my head at him. I'm just like, it's so bizarre. I can see exactly what you're saying about Arrow Ace. Like, just having exactly zero. I suppose it's the same as like someone who like sucks dick for crack, right? Like, if that's what he wanted to, like, if he saw it as a means to an end to what he actually wanted, then it's just a
Yeah.
no-brainer.
Yeah, but he's like, he doesn't have like a prostitute mindset. That's not how he feels about the sex that they're having.
so he doesn't
Just
even really
interesting.
feel like he's selling it for these breaking and enterings.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's interesting reading in his autobiography
Huh.
to kind of get this insight into his mind. But their dynamic is interesting, far more interesting than their crime, in my opinion, which is what everybody seems to care about. They seem to gloss over the fact they're even in a sexual relationship.
Yeah, it's not
So-
trendy anymore.
Yeah. So Leopold starts to grow more demanding, and Loeb found it tedious, frankly. He just didn't like being bored. He was bored of the sex, and he was bored of having to go through, like, he's like, I'm inspired to go and do this crime, or I passed by this place that I want to burgle or vandalize. And then it's like, oh, well, we have to have sex. And he's like, oh, but sex is so boring.
Again, yep, I can
Yeah.
see what you're saying.
So he's
Huh.
just completely not interested. So during the summer of 1921, a few months into their relationship, a fellow student from the university was working at the Loeb summer estate, and he had seen the two young men in bed together. And fearing the repercussions on their reputations, Leopold proposed that they kill him.
It's the best
Because-
way to silence
yeah,
someone. There's no
That
other
is
ways.
the immediate reaction that you need to have, right?
Yeah.
So the following day, Leopold and Loeb invite the young man to come sailing with them. And somehow they'd gotten the impression that he wasn't able to swim. So once they reach deep enough water, the two begin rocking the boat until all of them go overboard. So they didn't push him or be like extremely blatant exactly, but they made the
Clever.
boat capsize so that everybody goes in the water. They think that he can't swim and he's going to drown. So the young man, a fine swimmer, by the way, heads for shore. And he runs, because he's fucking dumb, he runs to Loeb's older brother and rats the two out. I don't know if he ratted them out about the attempted murder. I don't even know if he knows it happened, but he definitely told them that they were fucking.
Oh no.
So, rich people don't like that kind of stuff. So they just fire him.
Yeah. Older
Now-
brother didn't really have the great idea of like just killing him. Just fire him. Weird. That would have been
And unfortunately, they didn't have the bright idea of paying him off first. So he skips on back to school and tells everyone the tale of the murderous homos.
Oh no.
Yeah. Now, Leopold, being the socially tone deaf rich asshole that he was, he's not really that bothered by it. Loeb, however, can't really stand the heat. So he makes preparations to transfer to the University of Michigan, leaving the rumors and Leopold behind.
Okay, wait. Do you think this guy went on the boat thinking he was gonna get fucked, and then he didn't? He was like jealousy, because like, why would you
I
go on a
think that
boat?
he
These
just
two
wanted
guys.
to keep his job, and
Oh, I see.
That's
It was
why
more
he-
of a financial incentive.
yeah. Yeah, so he goes to the University of Michigan. He leaves everything behind. But Leopold followed him there like a fucking weirdo.
Simp.
Yeah.
Leopold wasn't there very long, though. He needed to leave school when his mother's kidney disease becomes terminal. And
Oh.
the death of his mother is obviously very traumatic, but was even more traumatic was what happened when he returns to school. So for the first time in about a year, Loeb had a significant amount of time around other people without Leopold hanging around. And his friends used that time to heavily imply that nobody liked Leopold and Loeb shouldn't be friends with him. And now his siblings had made very similar comments to him in the past, and now he's hearing it again because it's not polite to say that, in whispers when somebody's around. That's a social etiquette thing that these rich people wouldn't have breached. But when he's straight up not around, this is actually the first time he's hearing it. So stepping outside their little butt stuff bubble, Loeb starts to see what his
stuff bubble.
I loved that too. That was great.
That was great. Butt stuff bubble was really good. I like it.
You're welcome. So Loeb's starting to see what his friends are seeing, and he sees Leopold in a different light when he does return. So Loeb tells Leopold that he really wants to pledge a Jewish fraternity for the good of his future, but the fraternity had told him that he could not pledge as long as he's friends with Leopold. Now, I
call
have to
bullshit.
remind myself a lot, and I'm reminding you guys again here, listeners and co-hosts, while Leopold is a simp, he's not passive. He comes across unbearably arrogant and unpleasant. And this isn't people picking on him. They dislike him for very good reason.
Right.
So being rejected by the object of his affection gives Leopold no reason to stay in Michigan. So he returns to Chicago, which is pretty ballsy considering the rumors are still alive and well there when he comes back. But he seems very unbothered by this. So during their time apart, Leopold develops, as I think many college students do, an obsession with Nietzsche, particularly his philosophies on morality and nihilism. Don't ask me to get into Nietzsche. I don't know the first thing about him. I didn't study philosophy. I don't find philosophy that interesting. But basically, his perspective is that your own desires take precedent over everything else, and morality is entirely fabricated and meaningless.
That sounds like something he'd be into.
Well, these beliefs allow him to spend long hours imagining and justifying the act of murder.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll do it.
Well, that'll
And-
justify just about anything you want to do. Like,
Well-
my
Mhm.
self-satisfaction comes first, fuck morality. You can justify anything under the sun at that point.
It also gives you this sort of pompous icebreaker where you can also talk about it to anyone who would listen, like the cringy fucking edgelord that you are.
Does he
So
wear a
upon-
fedora and a trench coat like our modern day cringy weirdos?
Well, that was in fashion then.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was the thing.
So yes.
So no. Oh yeah,
So
he's
no. He's
Yeah.
wearing a metal t-shirt and skinny jeans.
Yeah.
Leopold, what is
that's
this
not in fashion
Metallica?
either. I'm so old. I don't even know what's in fashion now. What do cool people wear?
I don't know.
Okay, so upon their graduation in 1923, the two reconnected at graduate school. So keep in mind, Leopold and Loeb are 17 and 18 respectively at this point. To celebrate their reunion, they hopped on a train to Michigan and robbed the fraternity house that had gotten between them.
Love it.
Yeah, very Bonnie and
Right.
Clyde.
Yep.
During
Wait,
this
robbed
robbery,
them of what? Oh wait, no, you're gonna. Okay, sorry. Yep, keep going.
robbed them of what? It's burglary. Just all their shit.
Just stuff.
All this
whatever,
shit, yep.
whatever isn't tied down. Money, probably.
Yep.
It's am I allowed to
Yeah.
say it?
So during this
Kind of
robbery, they
fraternity-
obtained. Sorry,
Oh, nothing. I was just gonna say, what kind of fraternity is it?
Jewish.
Anyways, wonder what they had. Probably money. I'm just
Hmm.
joking.
Brisket.
Vaults of money and their Jew gold.
They just took all the brisket, took all the
Jew gold and the brisket and the New York deli.
yeah
Bagels.
Mm.
bagels
Bagels.
And schmear.
Yeah.
and
schmear.
schmears. Ew.
Dingus, you're laughing way too much at the the whatever this like stealing Jew gold. I don't know what's that about.
That's totally anti-Semitic humor.
Yeah. She doesn't want to answer why she's laughing so hard. I
Yeah.
see.
My grandmother accused my uncle of being a Nazi and like and seriously like believing that. So
Oh.
it's just even more ridiculous to
Well,
me.
Richard
She's
is
off her
actually
fucking
Nazi
rocker, by the
blood,
way.
and he started this. So
Yes.
Yeah, it's true.
he heard the call of the ancestors. It's like it's
Yeah.
their fucking Jew gold.
Well, my grandmother has just like lost her mind in her older age. So there's that.
That happens.
Is there any Jew in your in your family, or she's just started to randomly be anti-Semite?
No, she's like the social justice warrior kind of deal. And
Yeah, it's the uncle that's the anti-Semite.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is
Which
this
I
her
don't even
son?
know. Yeah. Yeah.
She is
And
accusing her son of being a closeted Nazi.
Yeah, yes. Yes.
Oh.
But he like doesn't even talk to her or like the rest of the family. So
Like an
where
actual
did-
Nazi? Like, is she crazy enough to believe that this is 1942, or is she like just calling him a skinhead?
We're pretty much just calling him a skinhead. Yeah.
Nice. Is he a skinhead? Does his head have skin?
I haven't talked to the man in years, so I have no idea if he's a Nazi or any of it. Like, he really doesn't have contact with the family. So I'm like, how do you even know this man's a Nazi? Like, you've just pulled this out of your ass.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks
keep
for tuning
talking.
in
I
to the.
think he-
Oh, she's leaving again. Thanks for tuning in to the Dingus Family Chronicles again, our listeners.
Yep.
All right.
It's insane.
So during this robbery, the two obtained a portable typewriter, which would come to play a major role in their ultimate crime. So they were getting on like a house on fire, and they escalated to setting houses on fire. Loeb,
Are
especially,
they still having sex? Like, did they go back to
Yes, they're
having
boning.
sex before crimes? Okay.
they're totally boning.
So they're boning and then they're going and setting houses on fire.
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
Okay.
So Loeb especially loved seeing his crimes in print, but the print was never big enough. He had dreams of being the ultimate criminal mastermind. He didn't
So
want
they
to be
wanted like front page.
Yeah, and he didn't want to be the Gray Seal anymore. He wants to be the guy that the Gray Seal tries to take down and fails. He wanted
Okay.
to curb stomp the brains out of Jimmy Dale's pathetic little skull.
He went from Batman to the Joker.
So, he proposes to Leopold that they commit the perfect murder.
Which is?
Bum, bum, bum.
I want to know what like their idea of the perfect murder is at this point.
Well, I will tell you.
It's got to be completely unhinged.
It is. All right, so the two spent the next 7 months planning their crime. Their ultimate plan was to kidnap a child of a wealthy family, murder them, and employ a ransom ruse to draw attention away from them.
Why
According-
have we targeted children now? Like
It was
what?
perfect.
For the ransom.
Perfect.
Oh,
Because it's just, first of all, it's easy. physically.
Yeah.
Second of all, because people would give the world for their children.
So they think they can get like more money out of it. Are they actually trying to collect
They
the
don't
ransom
really
too?
need money. I think they just
Oh.
want the ransom ruse because why would rich people ask for money? It just draws attention
Okay.
away from them.
That and it's like extra on top of it, right? Like, sure, go out and kill some guy, whatever. But if you get like a ransom, then it extends the whole like fantasy, the whole thing. It makes it this bigger, like more devious, and like that's what he
And
likes.
sensational. Remember, they love seeing it
For
in the
sure.
print.
That'll be front page too, for sure. Rich kid gets stolen, ransom, whatever. That'll be front page. Also, what they're looking for. So it all adds to the whole like, I don't know. We're gonna fuck this
Notoriety
out
of it
so
all.
much after. It's just like I feel like there's two sides of this, right? Like I'm gonna get like the hardest boner for Leopold, and Loeb's like, we're gonna be the best criminals ever, and it's just like it feeds off each other to the point where I don't know. It's just scary and stupid.
Yeah. So, according to historians, they did spend some time considering Tommy Loeb, the younger brother of Richard, as their potential victim. Now, this, I think, is a very good indicator of how stupid they actually are.
Yes,
That
not
they
very
spent
smart at all.
some time even considering someone that they could be connected to. However, I also think that this sounds like daddy issues. Sounds like he wants to hurt his dad.
Like
Could
he'd
be,
rather
or
hurt his own family than somebody else's.
yeah, or it's easier because you know where he's gonna be. You can figure out his routine. You can steal him, snatch him out a lot easier than like say a random kid who
If you think it
don't.
was hard to take children in the 1920s, you are wrong. There was no stranger danger.
You're probably right.
If some teenager was like, "Hey kid, you want to ride? You want to earn a penny?" They'd be like, "Sure, mister."
Are you gonna be able to feed her?
Okay, so their plan is set for May 21st, 1924. Leopold and Loeb rented a car and drove over to the Harvard School for Boys, Leopold's own alma mater, and waited for a victim to come along. They spent the next several hours spotting boys, stalking the potential victims, but being unable to find their opportunity. Finally, Loeb spots his second cousin and neighbor, 14-year-old Bobby Franks, umpiring a baseball game in a nearby field. Now, unfortunately for little Bobby, when it came time for him to walk home, there was no witness in sight. So Leopold and Loeb pulled up next to him and offer him a ride. Obviously, he accepts. He knows them. He's been to Loeb's house to play tennis several times. There's no reason he wouldn't accept a ride anyway.
Right.
Now, the car hadn't even pulled away from the curb yet, though neither the perpetrators nor historians will agree on which one it was. Bludgeon Bobby with the handle of a chisel before shoving an ether-soaked rag into the boy's throat. Leopold then sexually assaulted Bobby
Like immediately.
as he was dying. Yeah, so Bobby has been sexually assaulted. He's laying on the floor of the back seat, slowly suffocating while his organs begin to shut down from ether poisoning. So this is a drawn-out, unpleasant process. However, they think he's dead already. Okay?
So it wasn't it wasn't an accident. They wanted to kill him that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They thought they had killed him from the bludgeoning, but
Right.
no. So he's laying dying in the back seat, but they think he's dead. And to celebrate, they decide to go and get hot dogs and root beers. And they sit in the parking lot of this drive-in joint or whatever, enjoying their victory snack while he's slowly dying in the back seat. And
Christ.
mercifully, he does pass away.
Nothing goes better with murder than an old sarsaparilla.
Most people would say coriander.
It's really weird and racist somehow.
Well, it wasn't meant to be. But I'll
I
take
don't
it.
know. I associate coriander with a race. Maybe that's me.
Mexican?
No.
Okay.
If you think I'm going to admit no matter what race you ask me, you're dead wrong.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
It's the French.
It's the
The
French.
French race.
Yeah.
The two then took Bobby to a marshy area where they burned his face, genitals, and a scar on his abdomen with acid to hinder identification. Now, what it is about this child's wiener that made them consider it identifiable, I don't fucking know.
Well,
Uh.
oh, I mean, it was Jewish.
I don't know that he actually was. In fact, isn't Frank's a German last name? No, because Anne Frank is Jewish. Anyway, it could be because he's circumcised. I don't fucking know. Anyway,
Maybe he had the biggest hog
Yeah.
in town. Everyone just knew it.
Bobby Franks.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's. You know what? Do that boy a service. We'll say that as canon.
Oh, maybe
He
it was
had.
the Bush. Maybe it was the Bush.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
he's Bush of the fucking century.
Huge bush.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also do all my landscaping with acid.
There you go.
And I also start at my abdomen.
It's kind of fucked up we're talking about this. So they dump his body and they flee the scene and put their ransom plan into action. So at a payphone, first they called their own parents to apologize for running late that evening, and then they called the mother of Bobby Franks. Leopold tells her his name is George Johnson and he's in possession of her son, who would not come to any harm so long as they cooperated. And he said
He
he
was
would
already
follow
dead.
up. Shut up. She doesn't know
Oh.
that.
She does not. Sorry.
Fucking Jesus. So as long as they cooperate, he's not going to come into any harm. He says they'll follow up at a later time with instructions for the ransom. The panic-stricken parents waited 4 hours for further contact, and none came, so they reached out to the police. Meanwhile, during that 4 hours, Leopold and Loeb posted their pre-typed ransom note, which they drafted on the typewriter they stole from Loeb's Michigan fraternity the previous year. They took the rental car home, they cleaned the bloodstains from the interior thoroughly, and they burned Bobby Frank's clothes. The body of Bobby Franks was found the next day, May 22nd, 1924, at 9 a.m. The ransom letter hadn't even been delivered yet when their perfect crime began to unravel, because these two dipshits can't even hide a body. So the affluence of the victim sends this case into the fucking stratosphere. Leopold and Loeb are hard as fuck about being all over the papers. However, something interesting you learn from reading Loeb's autobiography or biography. I think somebody else wrote his and Leopold wrote his own. He really romanticized the idea of being caught. I think there was always this nagging feeling of unfinished business the longer he gets away with criminal behavior. And fame as a phantom, even for this, would never have satisfied him. And he very, very quickly became tired of edging. So he starts finding ways to contact the police and speak to newspaper reporters, and not even anonymously, to just talk to them about the case and speculate and say shockingly dumb shit.
Oh,
Like,
no.
and I quote to a newspaper reporter, quote, "If I were going to murder anybody, I'd murder just such a cocky little son of a bitch as Bobby Franks."
Why you don't talk?
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, Loeb the loudmouth wasn't actually their undoing. At least
Oh.
he wasn't by the time they were undone. That honor goes to Mr. Leopold. So as needed, Leopold wore a very particular set of spectacles, finely crafted with a unique hinge. When they were not needed, they sat in his breast pocket. Or they did until they fell out of said pocket and into the marshy grave of said cocky little son of a bitch.
You fucking moron.
So police are able to track this craftsmanship and the hinge in particular to a specific oculist. And wouldn't you know it, the oculist gives them a suspect pool even more shallow than Bobby's grave. 3 names, 2 of which were cleared with airtight alibis.
Yeah, being rich is their downfall, really. To this whole thing.
Wow.
So Leopold is brought in for questioning immediately. And during the interrogation, Leopold says he was in the area twitching the week before and he'd fallen, at which time they must have fallen out of his pocket. So the police then attempt to get Leopold to recreate what happened, having him fall down repeatedly on the floor of the interrogation room to try to get his glasses to fall out of his pocket.
I'm sorry, but
I
that's
like that.
hilarious.
They're like
that.
pushing him and tripping him.
Yeah.
It's just jib out. Show me what you're doing. Jib it. Go,
Yeah,
come
well, they
on.
did this for quite a while trying to get them
That's
involved.
fucking hilarious.
They
That's
never
the
budged.
best.
Obviously, this is bullshit police work. This would never stand up in a court of law. Like, they aren't the same clothes. The damage from being in the marsh could have made the glasses frames have more friction. Like, this fuck. But either way, they kind of use this to their advantage to
did
try
it,
to see
yeah.
if they could get him to.
See,
Crack.
this doesn't sound like a
Crack.
210 IQ. Like, you should know, just shut the fuck up. But I guess
Yeah.
he just wants to be caught.
No, Loeb is the one that wants to be caught.
Sorry.
Leopold he's happy keeping business as usual. But he did go and birdwatch at the scene so that he would, if somebody ever was able to connect him to it, he was like, well, yeah, I birdwatch there.
Oh,
But he didn't know about the glasses, so he didn't factor that in, obviously.
yeah.
But he didn't crack. He didn't give them anything that they could actually work with. He had reason as far as they were concerned. So,
Sorry, I just love the interrogation room of just
Okay.
like it's not falling out. Try harder. Just even more.
Try harder.
Show me
Alright,
how
someone-
this worked.
Someone kick out the back of his knee and see if we can get him to fall out that way.
well, yeah, it was repeated, just falling down over and over and over again onto the rug. Okay, so either way, he's immediately suspect number one, right? And who is Leopold always hanging out with? Loeb.
Loeb.
So they bring him in for questioning too. Neither one cracks
Why
under
we
their
got
pressure initially. And police do get to a point where they're actually beginning to doubt their involvement. But they still followed up on the evidence which they did have, namely the ransom note, which had been delivered at this point, and some vehicle evidence from the scene. So just trace evidence of the vehicle that had been there. So forensic testing directly links Leopold's typewriter that he's in possession of to the ransom note. And upon questioning to confirm that Leopold was driving his own car the day of the murder, as he said he was, his chauffeur, tells the police, no, his car was in the garage all day because they had a rental. And you know he was so fucking fired after that. You do
Yeah.
not tell the police that your boss's kid doesn't have an alibi. You don't fucking do that. He was so fired.
Yeah. He did not have a job anymore.
So when confronted with the evidence that didn't actually implicate him directly at all, Loeb begins squealing like a little piggy. And obviously they saw this coming because they went to him first. Before they even talked to Leopold, they went to Loeb immediately. So he's immediately like thrilled
Yes.
to get it all out.
Finally. Oh.
Exactly. And while Loeb is sitting in the afterglow, police mosey on over to talk to Leopold and begin asking him all about very specific details of the crime. Details which Leopold knows they only could have gotten from Loeb. Police and alienists both commented that the men showed no remorse in their confessions, explaining their actions in a very dispassionate and clinical way. Alienists are modern-day psychiatrists. Both Leopold and Loeb claimed it was the other one that actually bludgeoned the boy and shoved the rag down his throat. Now, the trial was actually one of the most sensational aspects of this case. I unfortunately think trials are very boring, so I'm not going to do it justice, and I apologize in advance. So because the Leopolds and the Loebs were absolutely dripping cold hard cash, they hired renowned criminal defense attorney Clarence Darrow. Now, he's known for his work on the Scopes Monkey trial, where a teacher was prosecuted for teaching Darwinism in school in 1925, and the Sweet trials, where 11 black defendants, 2 of which boldly moved into an all-white Detroit neighborhood, were attacked by a white mob, and in the chaos, a white man was shot and killed in self-defense. Now, in both of those cases, Mr. Darrow is on the right side of history. In this one, not so much.
Followed the dollar signs.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Now, Clarence Darrow had a reputation of using high-profile public spectacle to his advantage, and his strategy in this case would be no different. Except it would be entirely different, but he thought it would be entirely different, but he thought it would be no different. The press had labeled these men monsters, and so Darrow believed that allowing them to speak out, to humanize them to the public, would work in their favor. And he could not be more fucking wrong. As we saw before, Loeb says extremely stupid and incriminating shit to the press. Leopold, on the other hand, has firmly convinced himself that murder is fine because Nietzsche has a rad mustache or whatever. So Loeb is out here saying to the press, Bobby's a little prick, and I'm glad he's dead.
Idiot.
And Leopold is out here saying to the press, and I do it again.
Yeah.
Idiots.
They're also
Humanized him.
children. We don't like we're not really like they're kids. They
Mhm.
barely move out of their parents' house. Like their parents have anything to say about any of this?
They don't really want to be associated with all of this because
Yeah,
they
I would
have
imagine.
businesses to try to keep afloat and stuff. They bought Clarence Darrow, and that's as far as they're gonna go. So exasperated, obviously, Darrow goes, okay, new strategy. Don't talk to anyone ever. And we're pleading guilty. Because if you don't plead guilty, you're facing a jury and you are being hanged, you dumb motherfuckers.
Mhm.
So, according to the law at the time, if the defendants plead guilty and sentencing is left to the discretion of the judge, they are obliged to consider extenuating circumstances. Darrow got to work having the men evaluated extensively by psychiatric professionals in order to prove underlying mental illnesses. Now, we're all broken, even the normal ones. So psychiatrists found enough for Darrow to work with. He turned what they brought him into an 8-hour plea, which has since been called the finest speech of his career.
Wow.
And and it was affluenza, guys.
Of course
It
it
was
was.
the affluenza defense. I shit you not.
Of course it was.
Hey, it still works to this day, so I don't know.
Well, hold on. Okay, first, I mean, it was
Of course it was.
7.75 hours of the affluenza defense, followed by 0.25 hours of maybe Bobby did deserve to die a little bit. He was a bit of a little shit. He didn't really have any potential. I mean, maybe they just saved him from a life of mediocrity.
No.
Wow.
He was umpiring at a fun baseball game. Get him out of here.
Wow.
Peace out.
Yeah.
Wow. Fuck, people suck.
Now, whether they bought it, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. In fact.
Good.
But we'll get into what happened after, just because I want to get into some other shit first. While the murder of Bobby Franks is the only crime that they were ever charged with, and I do say crime, not even just the only murder, like, no, like the being in possession of the stolen typewriter, the burgled typewriter, for example, they were never charged with any petty crimes related to that or anything like that. Just the one murder of the one kid. But according to the podcast Killer Psyche, there is speculation that they were involved in other crimes. Okay. I specify them because this is the only place that I heard these. So the first was the abduction and mutilation of a man named Charles Ream. He was abducted at gunpoint while walking home by two men who were wearing handkerchiefs over their faces. They forced him onto the floor of the car, blindfolded him, and tied him up before covering his nose and mouth with an ether-soaked rag until he lost consciousness. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So he woke up about 40 blocks away, dumped on the side of the road, and he'd been robbed, obviously, of both his pants and his willy.
It's definitely a
Was this
suction grab.
before or after?
Sorry, Celeste.
Oh, you gave me heart palpitations. Fuck, that was good.
I just look, it's not what I'm stealing. What did they use to cut it off?
He doesn't know.
From what I remember with this Charles Ream thing, I think it's a chisel, and I'm not joking because I remember that part of. I think they chopped his dick off with a chisel.
Oh.
One of the other cases, there was a chisel involved. I don't know if it's this one.
Yeah,
I don't
okay,
think
I
it
just
is.
remember that.
I actually might have it
'Cause
written
I'm
down.
pretty sure. Anyways, I don't remember specifically, but Charles Ream, if I'm not mistaken, actually went to court for that, and then they settled out of court. It was a hung jury out of that one, if I remember. I'm pretty sure it was a fucking chisel.
Hung jury, but he wasn't. Ah!
No, it never actually went to court I'll explain. So
Okay.
the second one, I'm gonna get back into Charles Ream later. The second one that they are theorized to be connected to is the murder of a 23-year-old student named Freeman Lewis Tracy. Police received an anonymous call that there was a, quote, big fight at a cross street, and dispatched officers arrived to find the scene was quiet and undisturbed. But after a few minutes of looking around, they discovered a trail of blood spanning 2 entire blocks leading to the body of Tracy. He'd been shot in the head execution style. Now, police believe this murder could be connected to the castration of Charles Ream due to the circumstances and the location. The working theory was that it was an attempted kidnapping that actually went wrong because Tracy refused to cooperate, and so he was executed.
And that could make sense why they decided to go with a child next, because a child would be easier to like take into
Yeah.
their car than like an adult or a teenager or something.
Mhm.
There are 2 practices beforehand. They went, fuck, this is too hard. We need to get a smaller catch.
Mhm.
Well, and the boy knew them. Like these other people probably didn't know them or have a connection
Yeah.
to them. It's not like there was that trust of like, oh yeah, I've been to your house, I'll come with you, you know?
Yeah,
Also, kids are stupid.
Yeah, there's that.
correct.
So the third was yet another murder, this time of a handsome young man named Melvin Wolfe. He was discovered dumped in Lake Michigan a month after his disappearance. This is connected to the other 2 based, again, on circumstances and location. Affluent South Chicago, where both Leopold and Loeb lived. Now, there's not really any more details on the murder, and I don't really know why they opted to stress that he was handsome. I guess maybe Leopold might care about that. I don't know.
Yeah, Leopold's like, you fucking put in there that he was handsome because I ain't been associated with any bush pigs.
Huge bush pigs. So were the pigs like involved?
Not this time.
Okay, just checking.
Not this time.
Now, this seems a little flimsy to me, but Charles Ream, the, castrated Charles over here, he followed the murder of Bobby Franks in the newspaper. When Leopold and Loeb were splashed on every single front page in the city, he tells police he was sure those were the men that attacked him. So police arranged for him to walk past the 2 criminals in person on their first day of court to see if they could get a positive identification. Now, according to the reporter on the scene, upon walking past them, Ream became pale, unstable, and terrified when he saw their faces. He told police that Leopold had accosted him with the gun and Loeb had drove the abduction vehicle. Now, the prosecution initially intended to charge the men. Well, the prosecution, his name was something Crow. He was like a very, very political guy. He wanted to be mayor. This was like a make or break fucking thing
Wow.
to him. So keep in mind, like, he's very, very, he doesn't care really about justice in this case. He cares about what it does for his career.
Who cares about what the public think is justice in this situation?
Yeah. So basically, he initially intended to charge the men with castration, or the castration of Ream, and the murder of Tracy as well, but he decided that doing so may harm their chances of getting a conviction on Bobby Franks. And that was his main goal, was he did not want to hinder that conviction.
Right.
And he was like, look, man, all we need to put them away for life is to get them on this. So how about you chill the fuck down? You don't need your justice. Okay. They plead guilty, like I mentioned. They're sentenced to life plus 99 years, both of them. In January of 1936, Loeb was attacked with a straight razor in prison, and he died at age 30 from 58 slash wounds. The inmate that killed him told police that Loeb had sexually assaulted him. Now, I really don't fucking think that that's true. Given, he's not an anger excitation rapist. He's not an opportunistic rapist. He's not a rapist at all. I really don't think he gives a fuck about sex, power, pleasure, or otherwise.
Right.
But whatever gets the job done. He's dead, and that's what matters.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, sadly, in 1958, Leopold was released on parole. So he lived in Puerto Rico until his death from a heart attack at 66, at age 66 in 1971. During his time there, he worked as a lab assistant. He got his master's degree. He taught at the University of Puerto Rico. He married a widow, a girl widow, and he published a book on birds of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands.
Oh, it's a bit wholesome.
Were they in the same prison, do you know?
Mm-mm.
No.
No. They were kept apart.
Got to live his hobby, and he still had money.
Oh, of course. Yeah. His
You-
family
you-
didn't abandon him.
Do you think he did more crazy shit after he was released in Puerto Rico, or just
I
less?
think that if those two had never met each other, they wouldn't have gotten up to anything.
Still into the birds?
Yeah, wow.
I
Good
don't
for
know.
him.
Loeb, I think, would be a career criminal. I don't think he ever would have killed anyone, though. He doesn't work well alone. He doesn't work with confidence alone, I should say. That's why he let some guy diddle him. Not diddle. It was consensual, but that's why he was willing to do something he found very boring in exchange for having that crime companion.
Yeah.
It's just nothing ever since he was released at all.
No, from what I could gather from the reading and the documentary and the blah blah blah, he just was a fucking normal old dude.
And just lived out his life, wrote a book about birds.
Married a girl. I don't know what happened that he came out either in the closet or straight. Either his sexuality, his preferences changed, or he, for some reason, decided to hide his sexuality.
Maybe he was brought back to the light from our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
I don't know, maybe he's like, you know what? I got enough dick in prison. I am full.
Or
Set
just
for life.
like, it's still the 70s when he got, or what did he get, 58? Is that what she said?
He got out in 71.
71? Yeah, so it's still probably taboo for him to be like that. He's probably just, they probably had an arrangement. It may have been a lesbian girl who wanted to go do her thing, and they just lived out in Puerto Rico, going to just have a weird arrangement. I'm gonna go look at birds. We're gonna be married, so no one fucking people leave us alone. I'll fuck dudes. I don't know what the girl wanted. Like, I don't know what maybe she just wanted the money. He's a rich guy. I don't feel like, unless like conversion therapy in prison works really well, but I don't know. I feel like you're fucking a lot of dudes in prison. I don't think it's helping, especially if you're a gay guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, he married a widow.
It's such a bizarre turn of events. Nothing else happened. Well, I suppose it makes more sense.
I-
It was more than just that one crime.
It's not uncommon. I feel like I've heard of lots of cases like this where once they were separated from their partner in crime, they never did anything ever again.
I suppose
Like,
that's where the saying would come from.
Like Carla Mocha, she's just doing great out there. She's no problems with her at all. It's gross.
Yeah, that's a it's always fascinated me, the whole like bad influence on someone point thing, because like there was a couple that I was listening to on not a main news channel, but they were talking about how it was these two women, and this one woman managed to convince the other woman to do crimes. They went to prison, they sent them to the same prison. She committed more crimes in prison, and so they separated her. Then when they got out, when they were later on in their like 50s or something like that, they got straight back together, and she was doing straight crime again, even though she'd been on her best behavior before. They ended up both dying, but it
There was
like only when-
the sisters. I think it was the same thing. It was one sister was like really into crime, and the other sister was like, I'm just doing whatever.
I can't picture it. I can't picture being so persuaded by someone to do something like that without going, I don't know, I suppose they're the ones you want to hypnotize, right? Like,
A
Well,
bunch of
Leopold
boring
was
rich people.
digmatized in all of
weirdos.
this to commit these crimes. So when Loeb died, I'm sure he was like, "Oh, cool! I don't have to commit these crimes anymore." I didn't care about that part.
no, but isn't that all he cared about?
Now
That's
he
all
cared about the
Loeb cared
sex.
about. Leopold
that's
is the
all
one
Loeb
that
cared about. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, I already got caught for one crime. I don't want to go back to prison.
Because Leopold wasn't trying to get caught, but Loeb was.
Yeah.
So Leopold's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I can leave this life of crime behind and find another butt buddy.
In a woman. Because we don't, she could have been Peggy.
Peggy that was his wife's name, that'd be great. Who among us, I mean, hasn't done some shit they wouldn't normally do for some of that good dick?
God knows
I mean, not like
have.
murder though.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Unethical Podcast. If you're not in the Facebook group, stop being such a silly goose and come find us at Unethicult, the official Unethical Podcast group. If you find you just can't handle the anticipation until the next episode, then it's a great time to join our Patreon, where we have a ton of extra unethical content, and of course, our brother podcast, Private Dicks. And in case you didn't hear the good news, Private Dicks is now Public Dicks. Every 2 weeks, an episode of Season 1 will drop wherever you eat your podcasts, and our lucky Patreon patrons are literally living in the future, listening to new episodes from Season 2. On the fence about it? Have a listen to the trailer and see what you think. If you've got a case, big or small, give the Private Dicks a call. And yes, the phone number is real. Enjoy!
Have you got a mystery that needs solving?
Where is Amelia Earhart?
We know.
Who the hell was DB Cooper?
Ah, easy.
Bermuda Triangle?
Probably solve that one next.
Here at Private Dicks, we guarantee a mystery solved every episode.
That's with a capital G.
Every second Friday, the Private Dicks take a client, record their session, and solve the world's greatest mysteries.
One by one.
Private Dicks solve them, no problem. God, I love just crushing mysteries. Search up Private Dicks on your favorite podcatcher and you can solve a mystery too.
The mystery of what's your favorite podcast?
It's Private Dicks, another one solved.
If you have a mystery to be solved, call 1-855-PRVT-DIX. That's 1-855-PRIVATE-DICKS.
Call 1-855-PRIVATE-DICKS and leave us the rundown of the case. Maybe the Dicks will solve it.
855 Private Dicks. Because I'm straight when it comes to humans, but fucking gay from old people.